Welcome to Restoria. I'm Arthur, and this is your quiet place for gentle bedtime stories. Get comfortable, take a breath, and let the story slow your thoughts and ease you softly into sleep.
The rain against the glass. You come in out of the weather and pull the door shut behind you, and the storm loses half its voice in an instant. The latch drops. You lean your back against the wood a moment and let the quiet of the room come up around you. And the rain that was driving hard at your shoulders a breath ago is only a sound now, out there on the far side of a good thick wall. Your coat is wet through at the collar. The floor is stone under your feet, cool and even, worn to a shine by more comings in than you could count. The cottage is low and old, and it knows how to hold weather. The walls are stone 2 feet through, built by hands that understood exactly what the wind off this coast could do, and they have been standing against it for further back than anyone now living can say. Inside, the peat fire has burned down while you were out, but it has not gone. A red core of it still glows under the ash in the hearth at the gable end, and the heat reaches you across the room, and the whole low house smells of it. That brown, earthy sweetness that gets into the very walls and never leaves. You hang your coat on the second peg by the door. The first one has always been loose, ever since you can remember, and though it would take no more than a minute to drive the nail home, you never have, and by now the not doing of it is its own old habit, and you reach past the loose peg without thinking. The coat drips onto the stone. You toe off your wet boots and set them by the door where the draft will not reach them. And you stand a moment in your stocking feet on the cold floor, listening to the rain find the window. That is the sound that will keep you company all evening. Rain on the glass. The one small window in the seaward wall faces straight into the weather, and the drops come at it in waves as the gusts rise and fall, a scatter and then a streaming, a scatter and then a streaming, the water running down the panes in threads that catch the firelight and turn the color of it. Behind the rain, under it, is the wind. A steady pouring of air over the roof and around the corners of the house, never quite the same from one moment to the next. You have known this sound your whole life. It has never once meant anything but shelter, for that is the trick of a storm heard from inside a house that will not let it in. The very thing that would be hard and cold and dangerous out on the open ground becomes, in here, the surest comfort there is. The wind can do nothing to you. The rain can do nothing to you. They can only sound against the stone and the glass and pour themselves out over the roof. And every gust that shakes the door on its latch is one more reminder of exactly how safe you are, dry and easy, on the inside of a wall that has turned 1,000 worse storms than this. You cross the room toward the fire. The floor changes under your feet as you go, the cold stone by the door giving way to the worn boards near the hearth, and then to the flag before the fire that has soaked up the heat of 100 years of evenings and gives it back through your souls. You stand on it a moment, letting the heat come up through your feet, and you look down at the fire and see how low it has fallen. Not out, never quite out. A peat fire banked right in the morning will hold its red all day and into the dark, and this one has held a deep ember glow under a grey coat of ash, waiting to be woken. So you crouch down on the hearthstone and wake it. There is a creel of dried peats by the gable, cut and stacked in the bright days of the summer, and you take 2 of them and set them on the glow and lean in and breathe on it, low and steady, as you were taught before you can even remember being taught. The ash brightens. A thread of pale smoke lifts from the new peat, and then an edge of it catches and reddens, and the heat begins to build. You sit back on your heels and watch it take. Outside, the rain comes on harder against the glass, as if to say what it thinks of your little fire, and you almost smile at it, because your little fire does not care what the rain thinks at all. When the fire is going well, you swing the iron crane round over it, the one that has hung in this chimney further back than the window has held its glass, and you hook on the kettle and let it settle over the heat. It will take its time. There is no hurry in anything tonight. The storm has closed the door on the whole outside world and shrunk it down to this one room, and there is nowhere you have to be and nothing you have to do but tend the fire and wait for the water to sing. You draw the low chair round to face the hearth, and you sit. The lamp wants lighting. The room has gone dim as the evening came down behind the cloud, and the fire alone throws more shadow than glow into the corners. So you reach over to the little table and turn up the wick of the oil lamp and touch a spill to it from the fire. The flame catches and steadies behind the glass chimney, and a round pool of yellow light spreads out over the table and the flag and your own hands, and the corners of the room come back. The lamp and the fire between them make the whole place gold. On the window, The rain runs down through that gold in bright little rivers, and past the glass there is nothing now but the dark and the weather. You settle back into the chair. It is an old chair with a sag worn into the seat that fits you exactly, and the arms of it are smooth under your hands, and leaning back in it is like being taken hold of gently and told to stop. The wet of the walk-in is leaving you now. The fire has started to dry the damp from your sleeves, and the heat of it lies on your shins and your face, and the cold that had got into you out on the road is being drawn out inch by inch and replaced with something better. Your shoulders come down from where the wind had put them. Your hands lie easy in your lap. The kettle begins its unhurried business over the fire. A faint tick and creak of the metal heating, and under it the rain keeps on at the glass, and under that the wind pours over the roof. 3 sounds, laid one on top of the other. The near ticking of the kettle, the middle voice of the rain, rising and falling, and the far steady pouring of the wind, which never stops, only leans harder and then eases, harder and then eases, breathing over the house like something huge and patient that means you no harm. You close your eyes a moment and just listen to the 3 of them together. This is an old cottage, and it has a whole language of little sounds. As the fire builds and the heat moves through the stone, the house answers it. A rafter up in the height of the roof gives a single creak and goes quiet. Somewhere a drop of rain finds its way to the flag by the door and lands with a soft tap, and then another, unhurried, a beat apart, a little clock keeping its own time. The wind pushes at the door and the latch holds it, a brief rattle and then firm again. None of it troubles you. You have heard every one of these sounds 1,000 times, and each of them says the same thing, which is that the house is doing its work, standing where it has always stood, keeping the weather on the outside where it belongs. The kettle takes a good while to come to the boil, and you are in no mind to hurry it. You watch the fire instead. The 2 fresh peats have caught fully now and settled into the bed of the old, and the flame that stands over them is low and even and blue at the root, gold at the tip, leaning a little each time a breath of the storm comes down the chimney. The draught teases it but cannot take it. The peat holds its heat close and gives it out steadily, with none of the crackle and spit of a wood fire, only a deep, even burning, the stored summers of the bog going up quietly into the room. At last the kettle finds its voice. thin, high note that climbs by degrees to a rolling boil, and you lift it off the crane with a cloth around the handle and make your tea in the brown pot that lives on the hearth. The smell of it rises through the peat smell and the rain smell, clean and good. You let it stand to draw. While it draws, you sit with the empty cup heating in your two hands, and you look at the window, where the storm has thrown itself against the glass again in a hard driving gust. The rain flung in handfuls, the whole pane running. Let it come, you think. Let it come all it likes. You pour the tea and hold the cup near your face for the steam of it, and the heat goes into your hands and your throat, and you sit back to watch the storm through the window as you drink. It has settled into its full strength now. The gusts have grown steadier and more even. No more sudden shoves, but a great sustained pressing of wind against the seaward wall. A sound like the sea itself standing up on end. The rain rides on it in sheets. You can hear the difference when a heavier band comes through. The note on the glass rising, the panes streaming so fast the firelight breaks and runs on them, and then the band passes and the rain drops back to its steady tapping and the wind pours on beneath. None of it can reach you. That is the whole marvel of the thing. And you turn it over in your mind as you drink your tea. Out there the ground is running with water, and the macaire is flattened under the wind, and the sea is white to the horizon, and a person caught out in it would be soaked to the bone and pushed about and glad of any wall at all. And here you sit, a few feet away, with a cup of hot tea and a fire at your knees and a lamp at your elbow. And the only part of the storm that gets to you is the sound of it, which has been made harmless by 2 feet of stone. The sound without the cold, the wildness without the danger. There is no snugness on earth to match the snugness of a lit room in a great storm. The window holds your eye. You cannot see through it now, not really. Only the streaming water lit gold from within, and beyond it a moving darkness. But now and then the cloud must thin somewhere out over the sea, because a paler grey washes across the black for a moment and shows you the running rain in silhouette before it goes again. The glass is old, a little uneven, and it bends the firelight it catches into soft, wavering shapes. You have watched rain on this window since you were small enough to need lifting up to see it. It has not changed. The same water runs down the same panes, year upon year, and the same fire throws its color up into it from behind. And to sit and watch it is to be a child again and an old soul at once. A gust comes down the chimney and puffs a breath of peat smoke out into the room. And you catch that good brown smell full in the face for a moment before the draft rights itself and draws it back up. The fire ducks and flares and settles. The lamp flame leans and stands straight again. Up on the roof, the wind has found some loose edge of thatch or slate and worries at it. A low flutter that comes and goes, and you listen to it without concern, because the roof has held through worse and will hold through this. The house was made for exactly this night. Everything about it, the thickness of the walls, the smallness of the window, the low set of it into the slope out of the worst of the wind, all of it was chosen and built by people who knew the storms would come and meant to be ready. You think of them now, the ones who built it, though you never knew them and their names are mostly gone. They raised these walls by hand, stone laid on stone without mortar, each one turned and fitted so the weight of it locked the whole together, and they roofed it with turf and thatch and made a hearth at the gable and lit a fire in it, and that fire has scarcely gone out since. Think of that. The same hearth, the same chimney drawing, a fire kept alive in this one spot through more winters than the window has years. The peat you are burning tonight is the newest of a line of fires that runs back past every person who ever sat where you are sitting. You are only the latest to feed it. When you bank it tonight, you will be handing it on, the way it was handed to you. The tea is half gone and gone lukewarm, and you drink it off and set the cup on the flag by your foot. The storm sings on. You have stopped listening for any change in it, as you stop hearing a river you live beside. It has become the floor under the evening, the steady ground of sound on which the near noises happen, the tick of the cooling kettle, the settle of a peat, the tap of that one drip finding the flag by the door. You could count the seconds between those drips if you wanted to. You do not want to. You only let them fall, one and then another, marking off the easy minutes. A memory comes up, the way they do by a fire, unbidden and welcome. You are very small in it. It is a storm much like this one, years and years back, and you have been brought in wet from somewhere and stood before this same fire to dry, and a pair of hands you loved is working a rough towel over your hair while you stand there steaming. You cannot see the face in the memory. That has gone, but you have the hands and the smell of the wet wool and the peat and the sound of the same rain on the same glass and the enormous safety of being a child in a lit room while the whole outside roared and could not get in. You have carried that feeling your whole life. You are sitting inside it again now. There would have been talk on a night like that, low and easy over your head. The voices of the grown people going back and forth while you leaned against a knee and watched the fire and let the words wash by without meaning. You never needed to know what they were saying. It was enough that they were there and the fire was there and the rain was shut out. Later you would be carried through to the box bed in the wall, already half gone, and tucked under a weight of blankets, and the last thing you knew was the murmur from the fireside and the rain on the glass and the deep certainty that nothing bad could reach you. It is a certainty most people lose. Here, in this house, on this kind of night, you have never lost it. The memory loosens and lets you go, gently, and you are back in the chair with the fire in front of you and the storm at the glass. But the heat of it stays. That is how it is in this place. The evenings all lie on top of one another here. The same fire and the same window and the same weather, so that any one evening holds a little of every evening that came before it. You are keeping company without quite thinking of it so, with everyone who ever sat out a storm in this room, all of them warm, all of them dry, all of them listening to this same rain. The company of them is a good company, and it asks nothing of you. You sit among them by the fire, and you are not the least bit alone. You get up once to see to the fire and to ease the sitting out of your legs. You set another peat on, not because it needs it yet, but because there is a pleasure in tending it, and you stand with a hand on the cool stone of the chimney breast and look into the flame. The heat presses on your face. Behind you the room is gold and quiet. Before you the fire works away at the peat, patient, even, turning the old summers to heat. You could stand here a long while, but the chair is waiting, and your legs are glad to be told to sit again. So you lower yourself back down into the worn seat that fits you, and you pull the blanket from the arm of it over your knees, and you let the fire have your face once more. The blanket is a heavy one, grey wool gone soft with washing, and the weight of it over your legs is its own good comfort. You tuck it round and settle back. The chair takes you. The fire holds. The rain runs on the glass, and the wind pours over the roof, and somewhere out in the dark, the sea is throwing itself at the shore, and none of it, not one drop or gust of it can cross the threshold of this room. You are as safe as a person can be. You have been safe here your whole life, and you are safe here now. And the knowing of it goes all through you like the heat of the tea, and your eyes grow heavy with it. Your thoughts drift out past the walls, as they will when the body has gone still and the fire has done its work. Out over the whole black coast, the storm is doing the same thing it is doing to you, and everywhere it meets the same answer. Down the Macaire and along the shore, the other houses stand low into their own slopes, each with its walls 2 feet through, each with a fire at the gable and a lit window turned away from the wind. And in every one of them, someone is sitting much as you are sitting, warm, dry, listening to the rain and thinking their own easy thoughts. The storm rages over the top of all of it and changes none of it. A whole scattered township of little gold rooms, holding their heat against the black, as they have every wild storm for hundreds of years. Down at the shore, the boats are drawn up well past the tide line and turned over, their keels to the weather, roped to the rings in the rock, and the sea can howl at them all it likes, and it will not have them tonight. The harbour wall takes the worst of the swell and throws it back white, and behind the wall the water heaves but does not break, and the few craft moored there rise and fall on the surge and hold to their lines. Everything that can be made fast has been made fast. This is a coast that has always known storms, and it learned ages ago how to bend to them and let them pass, to draw the boats up and bank the fires and shut the doors and simply wait, snug, while the weather spends itself on stone and water and finds nothing it can carry away. And out beyond the shore is the sea itself, the great grey engine of all this weather, heaving under the wind from here to the edge of the world. You do not need to see it to know it. You can hear it under everything else if you listen for it, a deep booming roll that comes up through the ground more than through the air, the sound of big water falling on rock over and over, a mile off and yet present in the room with you. It is the oldest sound there is on this coast. It was here before the house, and it will be here after. And on a night like this, it is the vast, slow breathing that all the other sounds lie down inside. The rain and the wind and the tick of your kettle, all faint voices held within the one great voice of the sea. You are glad to be one warm thing inside all that bigness. There is no fear in the thought, only a kind of rightness. The sea does its work, and the storm does its work, and the house does its work, which is to keep one dry room in the middle of the wildness, and you do your work, which tonight is only to sit in that room and be kept. Everything is doing what it was made to do. The stone holds, the fire burns, the rain falls, and you rest at the still center of it, where all the forces of the storm balance out to a warm chair and a low flame and the sound of water on glass. Your thoughts come back in from the coast, back through the walls, back to the little circle of gold the lamp and the fire have made. This is the whole of the world now. The reach of the lamplight, the heat of the hearth, the worn arms of the chair under your hands, the blanket over your knees. Beyond the edge of the light, the room falls away into shadow. The far corners, the looming shape of the dresser against the wall, the far recess of the box bed set into the thickness of the gable. You know it is all there without looking. You have known this room so long that you carry a map of it behind your eyes, and you could cross it in the pitch dark and never touch a thing. There is the box bed waiting in the wall whenever you want it, made up with clean sheets and a pile of blankets, set deep into the stone where no draught has ever found it. In a while, you will cross to it and climb in and pull the covers to your chin. But not yet. There is a particular pleasure in the last hour by the fire, when the day is fully done and the bed is ready and nothing remains to be seen to, and you need not move until you choose to. So you stay. You let the fire have you a while longer, and you watch the flame work down through the peat, and you feel the good tiredness settle into you like silt going down through still water. The storm, you notice, has begun to change its note. Not to fade, not yet, but to shift, as a whole weather always does as it moves through. The gusts come a little further apart now. Between them there are moments, just moments, when the wind eases almost to nothing and the rain falls straight and steady for a breath or two before the next press of air picks it up and flings it at the glass again. In those brief gaps, you can hear the drip from the eaves more clearly, and the settle of the fire, and once, far off and thin, the call of some seabird riding the weather out on the water. Then the wind returns and folds all of it back under itself. You add no more peat. The fire is banked well enough now to see the evening out on its own, and you would rather watch it burn down than build it up. There is a beauty in a fire going gently to its rest that a roaring one never has. The flame lowers by degrees. The peat glows red and deep, and the red pulses a little brighter each time a draft comes down the chimney and then eases back, breathing with the storm, and the heat of it is gentler now, but no less kind. The lamp burns steady on the table at your elbow. Its yellow pool and the fire's red one overlap on the flag at your feet, and you sit in the middle of the two, warm through and through at last, the cold of the walk in quite forgotten. Your hands lie open on the blanket. The cup is empty by your foot. You have stopped following the storm and stopped following your thoughts, and you have come to rest in the plain feel of the moment, which is heat in front and the soft chair behind and the weight of the wool on your knees. The rain runs on the glass. You are not thinking about the rain. It is simply there, the way it has been there all your life, a sound that means the same thing it has always meant, which is that you are inside and dry and held, and that the world can pour down all it likes and reach no further than the far side of the glass. Through the gable wall, on the other side of the hearth, the beasts are in the byre. You cannot hear them over the storm, but you know they are there, bedded down in the straw with the heat of their own bodies filling the space, chewing, shifting, easy in the dark. The old houses were built so, the beasts under the same roof as the folk, a wall between, but the one roof over both, and there was sense in it beyond the sparing of walls. On a wild night, it is a good thing to have other living creatures near, breathing their easy breath a stone's throw from your fire, riding out the same weather in their own patient way. You are not the only warm life in the house tonight. That has always been a comfort here. If you listen closely, the rain has more than one voice, and you pick them apart idly as you sit. There is the fine hiss of it on the thatch overhead, a sound with no edges to it, steady as breath. There is the harder tapping where it strikes the glass, quicker and brighter, rising when a gust drives it and falling again between. And there is a deeper note out by the door, where the water off the roof has found the old barrel set to catch it, a hollow and musical plipping that changes its pitch by a hair as the barrel fills. 3 rains, you might almost say, each with its own small music, and all of them going at once, and none of them able to touch you where you sit. The barrel will be near full by the morning, brimming and clear, and you will dip it for the kettle and taste the storm in your first cup of tea without thinking anything of it. That is a good part of a wild night, the way it leaves the barrels full and the ground drinking and everything set fair for the days to follow. The land needs its storms as much as it needs its fine weather, and a house built to sit them out takes no hurt from them at all, only the gift of the rain caught and kept. You let the thought go and settle further into the chair, and the rain plays its three voices on, and you are held in the middle of the sound of it, dry to the bone. Against the far wall, the dresser stands in the shadow, and on it, just catching the edge of the lamplight, the few good plates are set up on their rail. They come down 2 or 3 times a year, and no more. The rest of the days they stand there and gather the firelight and give the room a little dignity, and that is work enough for them. You know each chip and crack in them by rote. There is a jug with a mended handle that has been mended so many years the mend is part of it. There is a bowl that came from away, a lifetime ago, and is kept for the beauty of it and used for nothing. These things do not change. They wait on the dresser through every storm and are still there in the morning, and the not changing of them is a quiet kindness on an evening when the whole outside is in uproar. Everything for the morning is ready, set out before you went out into the weather. The kindling is dry in the basket by the hearth. The pot is scoured and turned down on the shelf. There is meal in the kist and water in the pail, and nothing that must be done before the day is properly begun. This too is part of the ease of the evening. A house set right for the morning lets you rest fully at night, with no half-finished task tugging at the edge of your mind, no chore left to trip over in the gloom. You did the little readying earlier without thinking much of it, and now you have the whole reward of it, which is an evening with nothing owing. An evening you may spend entirely on doing nothing at all. The fire shifts, and a peat breaks softly and sends up a brief flowering of sparks that die before they reach the flue. You watch them go. The red bed of the fire has broadened and spread, and there is less flame now and more glow. The whole hearth become a low, even furnace of heat that will hold for hours yet. The heat of it has reached every part of you. Your feet, that were cold and wet an hour ago, are dry and easy in their stockings. The damp has gone from your clothes entirely. Even the chair beneath you has taken the heat and holds it, so that you are heated from before and behind at once, wrapped in it, held in it, with the blanket over your knees sealing it in. Another memory surfaces, and you let it. This one is nearer than the last. You are grown in it, and you have been away, gone off to wherever the years took you, and you have come back to this house after a hard journey on just such a night as this. You remember the last stretch of the road in the rain, the wind pushing at you, the wet, and then the one lit window low ahead of you through the weather, the gold of it, steady, promising everything. You remember pushing in through the door out of the storm and the room folding round you, the heat and the peat smell and the lamp, and standing there dripping with the whole of the wildness shut off behind you, and the feeling that came then, which was not quite joy and better than joy, the plain deep ease of being home. That window has called you in out of the dark more times than you can number. It is calling others in even now, all down the coast, every lit pane a sure promise kept. There is no better thing a house can do than show a lit window to someone out in the weather, and then take them in and dry them and feed them and let them rest. This house has done that for you your whole life and for others far before you, and it is doing it for you again tonight, though you had only to walk in from nearby. The doing of it is the same however far you have come. The door shuts, the storm drops to a sound, the room takes you in, and you are home and dry, and there is nothing left to do but rest. The memory sinks back down where it came from and leaves the ease behind, and you sit on in the gold of the room with the storm going quieter by slow degrees at the glass. For it is easing now in earnest. You can hear it. The great sustained pressing of the wind has begun to come in pulses instead, each one a little gentler than the one before, and between them the lulls run further, and in the lulls the rain softens from its hard flinging to a steady, even fall, a hushing on the glass rather than a lashing. The worst of the weather is moving on out over the land behind you, taking its violence with it, leaving only the tail of itself, the plain good rain that will fall the rest of the night and soak quietly into the ground. You like this part best of all, perhaps. The turning of a storm from a wild thing to a gentle one. The wind lets go its grip on the house by degrees, and the door stops rattling at the latch, and the flutter of the loose thatch up on the roof falls still, and one by one the house's uneasy sounds settle back into its easy ones. The rain finds a steady rhythm and keeps it. It is the sound of the weather forgiving the land, of the storm coming down off its fury into a plain, wet dark that means no harm to anyone. And you at the middle of it, warm and dry and fading, listening to the wildness give itself up to rest, going down toward your own rest at the very same pace. Once, before the tiredness has fully taken you, you rise and step across to the window to look out at the weather. The glass has misted on the inside with the heat of the room, and you wipe a clear patch with the side of your hand and put your face near to it. There is almost nothing to see. The water runs on the outside of the pane in a steady sheet, and beyond it, the world is a moving blackness with no edge or shape to it, only, now and again, a paler streak where the cloud thins and lets a little grey through over the sea. The cold comes off the glass against your face, and it is a good thing to feel it there, because it tells you by contrast exactly how much heat is at your back. You stand at the pane a moment, with the storm a hand's breadth away, and only the one thin sheet of old glass between you and all of it. You could reach out and lay a palm flat on the cold, wet surface and feel the whole weight of the weather pressing on the other side. The wind and the rain and the reach of the sea, the entire wild weather held off by a pane you could break with a careless elbow. And yet it holds. It has always held. The frailest thing in the whole house, this square of glass, turns the storm as surely as the 2 feet of stone around it, because the storm, for all its noise, has no real quarrel with a house that simply stands and waits. You breathe on the glass and watch it cloud and clear, and you go back to your chair, settling again into the seat that fits you. You fall to thinking of how many evenings this one room has gathered up and held. There is no counting them. A house like this measures its age not in years but in fires, in the number of times a hearth has been lit and banked and lit again. And by that reckoning, the room around you is very old indeed and has seen a great deal of weather. Every storm that ever came in off that sea broke over this roof and found the same answer. The door shut, the fire lit, someone in the chair. Nothing about the pattern has changed. The weather comes and the house waits it out, and in the morning the weather is gone and the house is still there, and that is the whole story, told over and over, and it never once turns out badly. There is a peace in being part of a pattern that old. You are not doing anything tonight that has not been done here 10,000 times before you. Sitting by the fire while it rains, drinking the tea, watching the flame, listening to the water on the glass. The very ordinariness of it is the comfort. You are one more evening laid on top of all the others, no different from them, asking nothing special of the evening, and given the same plain gift the evening has always given, which is heat and shelter and the sound of rain and the slow unwinding of a body at the end of its day. There is nothing you need that you do not have. There is nowhere you would rather be. As the storm draws off, the near sounds of the room come forward to meet you, the ones the wind had covered over. You let them arrive one at a time. The faint stir and settle of the fire, a peat easing down into its own embers with a sound no louder than a breath, the tick of the iron crane cooling above it, the drip by the door, fainter now, finding the flag with a faint clear tap, and then a rest, and then another. These are the sounds of the house at its ease, and hearing them come back is like watching a face you love relax out of a frown. Through the gable, faint under everything, one of the beasts shifts in the byre and lies back down, a heavy, contented sound, straw rustling, and then it is still again. The rain has gone gentle on the glass, no longer flung but falling, a steady, patient hush that has no edge to it anywhere. You could not have heard it an hour ago under the roar of the wind, but now it is the plainest sound in the room, and it is the very sound you have loved best your whole life. The sound of rain that means you no harm, falling on a house that will not let it in. It fills the room without weighing anything. It asks for nothing. It only falls. You draw the blanket a little higher and tuck your hands beneath it. The heat of the fire has soaked right through you now, into the joints, into the tired places, and there is a heaviness in your limbs that is nothing but good. It is the heaviness of a body that has been kept safe and heated through and given nothing to fear. And it pulls at you gently, as the ground pulls, asking only that you stop holding yourself up and let it take the weight. You are glad to. There is no reason on earth not to. The chair has you. The room has you. The house has you. And beyond it, the rain, and beyond that, nothing that can reach you at all. The lamp gutters the least bit as it burns down, and the shadows sway once and settle, and the pool of gold on the table draws in a hand's breadth closer. You watch it through half-shut eyes. There is no thought in you now that you could name. Only the fire in front and the chair behind and the wool over your hands. Only the heat and the heaviness and the sound of the rain, falling and falling, steady as a pulse on the far side of the glass. The evening has come right down to this, to a low fire and a lit lamp and a body at rest and a storm turned gentle and the plain good dark pressing kindly at the window. You think, without any urgency in the thought, of how it will be in the morning. The storm will have blown itself out over the hills and gone, and you will wake in the box bed to a hush you can feel through the walls, the particular stillness that comes after a wild night, when the wind has spent itself entirely and the world lies rinsed and dripping and calm. You'll open the door onto air washed clean, cool and salt and new, and the ground will be black with water and starred all over with pools, and the sea beyond the Macaire will have gone flat and pewter, heaving gently, tired out, as though nothing had happened at all. But that is for the morning, and the morning can keep. There is no need to hurry toward it, no need to leave this hour for the next one. The bed will still be there when you want it, made up and waiting in the wall. For now there is only this: the fire gone to embers, the lamp burned low, the rain steady and gentle at the glass, and yourself sunk into the chair with the blanket over your hands, and no reason in the world to move. The morning will come when it comes. It always has. It will find the storm gone and the fire grey and you rested, and it will ask nothing of you that cannot wait until you are ready. So you stay where you are, and you let the last of the evening close gently over you. The fire ticks as it cools. The lamp holds its low, even flame. The rain falls on and on at the window, patient, unhurried, a sound with no end and no beginning, and you have stopped hearing it as a separate thing and begun to hear it as the voice of the quiet itself. Your breath has fallen in with it. The room is dim and gold and thoroughly at peace, and you are held at the middle of it, as safe and as easy as you have ever been, while the weather sees itself out and the fire keeps its last heat and the good rain goes on falling in the dark. The hours have slipped by without your marking them. That is how it goes on an evening like this, with nothing to measure the time but the burning down of a fire and the passing of a storm. The lamp has drunk down some of its oil and burns a shade lower, its pool of yellow drawn in a little closer about the table. The fire has sunk to a bed of deep red under a soft grey ash, no flame left standing now, only the even glow, pulsing faintly with the last breaths of the wind in the chimney. The room has dimmed with them, gone from bright gold to a dull, warm amber, and the shadows have come a step nearer, and none of it wakes you the least bit, because a dimming room at the end of an evening is the most restful thing there is. You are very heavy in the chair now. The tiredness has come up over you like a tide coming in, filling you by inches, and there is no part of you that wants to move against it. Your head has settled back. Your hands have gone loose on the blanket. The heat of the fire lies on you like a second blanket over the first, and the two of them together have made you so heavy and so easy that the thought of the box bed, good as it is, seems more trouble than it is worth just yet. A while longer here, you think. Just a while yet in the chair, with the fire and the rain. The bed will keep. It has kept every other night. Your thoughts have grown slow and few. They are hardly thoughts at all anymore. More like the last drifting embers of the day going out one by one. The feel of the wool under your fingers, the heat on your face, the sound of the rain, steady now, gentle now, falling and falling on the old glass. You are not turning any of it over. You are only lying in the middle of it, held on every side, with nothing pressing on you from anywhere in the whole world. The storm is nearly done. The fire is nearly rest. And you are nearly there yourself, gone soft and heavy and content in the chair that fits you. The rain keeps on at the glass, quieter and quieter. The wind has almost let the house go. Now and then a last gust wanders down off the roof and stirs the ash in the grate and moves on, and the fire brightens for a breath and dims again, and the shadow of it sways once on the wall and settles. The drip by the door has eased to a beat you could sleep between. One drop, and the wait, and the next. The kettle has gone cold on the hearth. The lamp burns low and steady. The good plates gather the last of the light on the dresser and give it back. There is nothing left to do. Nothing to see to. Nothing to mind. Nothing anywhere in the night that asks a single thing of you. The house holds. The fire holds. The rain falls on the glass and runs down it in the dying gold. The same rain, the same glass, the same low light behind it that has stood against 1,000 storms and stands against this one now. Your eyes are closed. Your breath has gone deep and even. The weight of the blanket rises and falls with it, the least bit, over and over. Outside, the storm draws off across the land, and the rain settles to a soft and steady falling that will last till morning. At the glass the water gathers and runs, gathers and runs, catching what is left of the firelight and carrying it down the pane in threads of dull gold. The fire sinks another shade into its ash. The room holds its heat and on the far side of 2 feet of stone, the weather goes on being weather, wet and blind and harmless, while inside, in the last of the amber light, the rain keeps its steady falling against the glass, and the house keeps you, as it always has, as it always will.